Starting. Hey, it started. Awesome. Hey, welcome to Wes Smith Variety Show. I'm Wes Smith. Coming up, I've got awesome guests today. I'll get to that in just a second. A few upcoming events before we get rolling. What do we have this weekend? West Coast Weekender.
West Coast Weekender.
Awesome.
Weekend.
In terms of event and a party, I'm DJing at it. I am speaking on a panel, a songwriter workshop kind of thing. That's going to be really cool. So if you're in San Diego, check that out. Is there a website address for that?
I think it's just westcoastweekender.com, but I'll have to double check that.
You can definitely find it all over Facebook and any of my Facebook stuff. It's there. After that, let's see. The following weekend I've got coming up, that is Flower of Life Festival over in Pennsylvania. So you can also check that one out. So a bunch of other stuff coming up, but I'll leave it with those two for now. As far as music releases goes, we have a couple things coming, a couple things out. The It's Wes Smith Yo album Volume 2 remixes came out, and that's somewhat related to one of our guests today. And that's been out for a couple weeks. Awesome, did really great. Thanks to all those artists that did the remixes. Still a bunch of that floating around in the charts. And what else? We had
Disaster Beats.
Disaster Beats came out today. First release on Juice. That's awesome. And that's getting good feedback. Appreciate that from everybody. And then the really big one, which is in process, is the two things. Is the Tabletop Racing World Tour video game came out last week. That's been awesome. And 28 songs or something on the soundtrack, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. You got to unlock some things, that kind of stuff. But go check that out. It's all over my Facebook and websites and things, and we'll continue to be all over the place. But that's been awesome, and we're going to trickle out the entire soundtrack for free. It's all the game edits. So some of the people that are featured on there, aside from myself, we got Dub Pistols, DJ Fix, Dub Axpace, Mutant Breaks, Diabeat, the Bomb Squad, a couple others. So, but yeah, check that out. And I think like 20 of them, maybe 17 or 18 are out free on my SoundCloud now. And the full thing will be out throughout the course of May. So check that out. So I think that's all I've got. Any other announcement you can think of? Did I leave anything out, Kelly?
No,
Any announcement?
You're good.
Awesome. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Rob Analyze. There he is. Rob, tell everybody who you are.
Well, my name is Rob Analyze, the General, Robert E. Leigh. That my mom wants to call me, because we don't know where my dad is, or some people do. He's fishing forever. But my name is Rob Analyze, and I'm happy to be on the show. Thank you guys for having me on and taking the time out. And yeah, I'm ready to get into this conversation of talking with W, with Jen, and the pretty ladies. Come on, I mean, this is crazy. Kelly, come on, love you.
That said, Boat Live. You look so awesome today.
You do look awesome.
Kelly, you look awesome.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm so fortunate to have my awesome co-hosts and technical navigators, whatever. Otherwise, like I don't know if anybody would even come on the show. Who wants to talk to me? But anyway, Rob. So the way I know you, I'll give a little bit of that background. I always kind of do that. The way I know Rob, what's it been, man? A couple of years now? 3 years? 4 years?
It's been 3 years. Actually, no. We're coming up on our 4th year. W. We're on our 4th year almost. January.
So the way I know you was first and foremost through distribution of music. So your company, Jamvana, I think it was called something else at the time, but anyway, it bought out, took over some accounts from another distributor, and I happened to be one of those accounts, and we met through that and got things going really good and got some great advice from you. And so I think that's kind of cool. I've typically on here has been artists, people that make music or vocalists or some things like that. But you're the first, what I would say, business guy that I've got to chat with on here. So maybe tell us a little bit about the history, maybe up to where we met in terms of your work in distribution, and then kind of about Jamvana.
Yeah, so, if we are going to take it back a little bit further, we started off as a vinyl shop out of Ocala, Gainesville area. And from the vinyl shop, and I want to say it was like at the ass end of vinyl days, where vinyl was going out the door and digital was kicking in. And I thought we still had a niche for it. And I didn't want to see vinyl go because we were pressing bomb beats at the time. And I opened up the shop, and then from there I went to an online retailer, which was Jamvana. And Jamvana started in 2007 in May, and we progressed. I would say we're trying to be more like a boutique shop for independent artists, and it went on for a few years, and just trying to get more involved and learn about artists, labels, and what they had going on. And then from there, we switched it to an app, an iPhone app. It was strictly on the iPhone. And from there, it's like, let's just shut it down and change models. A bunch of fails is where I'm getting at. We failed a lot of times, so I'm just do it. And after that, we were going to take our CMS that we built in the back end of Jamvana and turn it into a distribution platform. And at that time, I had all the connections with all of everyone in the majors because of the store and the retail side of it. So, we took that on. There was a company that was going out of business at the time, and it was just a no-brainer to try to grab them and take on what they had, and that's where West fell into place. A couple of other labels out there, and then from there we kept progressing, and we have close to 4,000 accounts now, and daily signups, and a great team here at Jamvana, and just looking after everybody that's coming on, trying to give them more guidance than anything these days. It's one of the hardest parts is just trying to get it into some people's heads of how things work. But if I can't do it, our VP Colton, he runs Trap and Bass, which has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and he gives a lot of tips on how to grow his channel. He also runs High Intensity Records. And then from there, we have Erica, and then we also have Nick, and we're here for the support. And we're here now on the Variety ShYo, and I love it.
Dude, we've slung some units together.
Yes, yeah, we have. We definitely have. And you went #1, as we talk about all the time, and I want to say it was almost at the tip of downloads almost, deteriorating and streaming and monetize taking over. And but it was great to see that you got to see it before that kind of fell. These days it's a little bit lower on numbers, but you got to take over that, and I'm so proud of what you've done with that song and bring back that funk, and how you've grown your brand to where you are now. But yeah, when it comes down to units. The W.
How crazy is that in the video game now?
I'll say it again.
I said, how crazy is that old video game now?
I'm sorry, you're cutting out. Cutting out, W. Is it the weather? It could be the Florida weather. It's looking a little dark over here.
It could be California.
Hey, yeah, how's it looking over there? Is it good to go? Is it got the rain?
Yeah, hold on a second. We might have a tech.
Should I switch mics now?
It sounds like a eager open.
We're usually good.
There you go. There you go.
Who's echoing now?
You got a delay on this.
Yeah, we're real-time processing.
Are you producing right now? I told you to lay off this sometimes, man. Come on.
Different computer.
Yeah, there we go.
Can you hear us now from here?
Yeah.
We switched mics to the camera mic, so.
Yeah, that's cool. So you good? You can hear me?
Yeah, gotcha.
All right. So moving along, yeah. So you were talking about the distribution stuff and just kind of a few of the things that you've seen it go through, like coming from maybe the end of vinyl days, and I'm not even sure if the CD days were actually any days at all, but into digital basically, and I know that just through the short time that I've been working with you, I mean, one of the things, like, how crazy is just how fast I mean, fast meaning like 3 or 4 years. So how crazy is it that just the way that monetizing music has changed? I mean, I know that a lot of these things aren't really super new, maybe to people who have been in the business for a while. But if you're coming at this from the outside, or you're someone in the last 5 years just getting in, there's been like 3 transitions, due to technology that have really, affected the way that an artist can make money. Because really, like you said, downloads have dwindled. That's been dwindled as a source of income for quite a while. But really, even streaming is not, it's not that impressive. I mean, tell me, give me some of the numbers that you've seen off of, streaming accounts.
Okay, yeah.
I'm curious. We'll talk about that one.
The problem when it comes to streaming is, a lot of people tie in ad revenue and monetizing to streaming, because whenever you get paid off it is streaming, but it's ad revenue. Excuse me. But when it comes down to streaming, it really all depends on ad revenue as well. It's how long they stay on that ad, and it's how long a user is going to have a subscription plan, or they paid for it or they didn't pay for it. Spotify example gives you their 0.014 or whatever it is, but if someone's clicking through and they're moving on to the next one, it's not going to get accounted for. Same as SoundCloud. A lot of people think, oh, I got 1 million streams. I should be paid out for 1 million impressions, but it's not YouTube, so you're not going to get paid.
So what does it take? Actually, because I don't even know totally. I mean, I understand overall what it is and some of the details, but what, for example, is like a play duration that it takes, on a SoundCloud stream, for example, to count towards some portion of the total ad revenue that I guess SoundCloud takes in?
It would have to go on. It's still ad driven, so per stream. Because it's so funny, because we went over this. I have to go over this all the time, and we went over it today. If you have 1 million impressions, and a lot of people follow the downloads, fake bots, you have 1 million impressions, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get that. So the organic could be 5,000. Those are the 5,000 that to ads. So you're going to get paid off of that. The more plays, obviously, the more revenue you make. And if you have an organic fan base and you're not doing all that, I would say about 1,000 streams, you can make $50. Same thing as Spotify. You can same as way as Spotify. If you have 1 million streams on Spotify, yes, it does pay what they say it pays, but it depends on if someone clicked through that ad. If they click through the ad, you're not getting paid that revenue. That's something that I honestly think that the DSPs these days, now that SoundCloud calls it a DSP since they went to subscription base, they need to emphasize on that a little bit more, and let people know you're not getting paid per click. And I think that's the confusion that a lot of people are getting. Yeah.
Well, so in a way, it's almost like the super old school, original internet monetization method of advertising, old school click ads. It's almost like that's essentially the revenue stream. It's not really because they're listening to your music.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they're not, and everyone is just assuming that that's what it is. You listen to my track that many times, pay me. It's just not that way.
Right. So you can't even really tell, you don't have a good way, as an outsider anyway, or a fan of music or whatever, an artist who's trying to figure out, how they might get paid or where should they put their effort. You really don't even have a good way to know, if there's some people you look up to and follow that, you kind of know that they're getting, 1 million plays a month or something on SoundCloud. 3 artists who are getting 1 million plays a month, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're making the same amount off streaming, right?
Right.
Because it could be a mix of ads, it could be a mix of click-through, it could be a mix of how long they're on it, it could be a mix of whether it was reshares or bot likes or whatever, right?
Right, and everyone, exactly, and everyone has different opinions about it, and you have so many new signups that come into the get-rich-quick scheme of the music industry, and my friend told me that he made this and that. That's another hassle that everybody has to go through, but you really don't know where it's coming from. I support all these DSPs all the time, but they're super late a lot.
What's a DSP? What's a
Shop.
DSP?
It's the store. It's the shops. Sorry that I use the term all the time, but it is the shops. It's the store.
No, I'm trying to get business technical today, man. I mean, I know we talk about this stuff a lot, but
I was gonna write what all these things meant, but I didn't have time to because I got carried away drawing this logo. But
nice, man.
And I need to put it on our site a little bit more. But right now, honestly, I totally forgot what DST means. I'm just gonna go back to shop.
Digital something something. Digital something.
It's digital definitely something.
Someone, hey Kelly, look that up.
Yeah, I'm having a brain fart right now, so I don't.
Digital system, digital store, digital shop.
Hey, so one of the things most recently that I saw with, like I don't really look. Ironically, I mean I'm in electronic music, but I really don't look to too many electronic music people for examples on the business stuff. I guess a lot because I just don't know a lot of them personally or long enough. So when I think about it in that sense, I might as well just go look at someone that I'm a huge fan of their music, like anyway, which could be electronic, but a lot of times it's not. And it's even less so that I might hear those people, on a show like this or bigger, whatever, talking with kind of an open interview. So I recently was listening to one. Where I was going with that is I was recently listening to one. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys, and he went on for a while talking about this topic. Clearly, the Black Keys has spanned, their history. They're international, obviously. Can go play any major and probably secondary and tertiary market in the world that they want to pretty much any time. In fact, he talked about that on the I think it was on the Joe Rogan podcast. I listened to that a lot. So, but he really got into some details about how confusing, even at his level, the business of stream monetization, or forget the word monetization, but the artist at the end of the day receiving a check for anything to do with music anymore. He basically himself, I mean, I don't want to quote him because you can go listen to the podcast episode, but it was definitely something to the effect of, he's not even sure how people make any money, and they're coming from a time when they didn't, they probably, I'm sure they make some money today on actual music, sales through contracts and all the things they're involved in, but he's clearly coming from a day where they came to popularity when, probably pre-internet, in the sense of the way you download and can pirate stuff today. So going through that transition, I'm sure the dollar signs are like pre-internet and post-internet. I bet they're like, whoa.
Yeah, like what happened? Yeah,
like it was paying. He doesn't get any numbers on there, but I'm sure it's a substantial smack.
Yeah, and it all goes back down to branding. I mean, there's been so many stories, Kickstarter stories, and I mean, we're reading what we read online. They all could be lies too. You can't read everything and believe everything. But I mean, there's been so many stories with independent artists as well.
Well, so an example like talking about music business stuff, and I do want to dig into more of that, with you today because you've got a lot of experience in it, different than some of the other folks that I've had the chance to talk to on here. And so I'm definitely going to dive into some of these things deep. But a good example of why I gave the Black Keys is because having been pre-internet, and post-internet, let's just say, it's almost like my question for you is like, what kind of feedback or thoughts out there do you hear on the appreciation for the actual music being the reason people become popular nowadays to the extent where they could say tour worldwide? Because I think, I mean, my recollection pre-internet, if I went and bought an album, I'm pretty sure that unless it was in a print magazine, I'm pretty sure the only way that I became a fan was to go buy that album and listen to it. And I rocked that album for like a whole summer at least, if I was really in love with it, right? So that's very different than nowadays. I mean, I haven't done that in a long time, So have you listened to an album for a whole summer?
I was at Ron John Surf Shop and you're welcome for the plug, Ron John. And I almost bought the Beastie Boys album the other day, but other than that, no, I haven't bought my own in so long. I do like that they're coming back, but yeah, having that package, having it and own it, know that you paid $20 for it or whatever the price was at the time, and playing it over and over, and getting to know all the credits and everything on the album, the content. Yeah, those days are great. And physical's kind of coming back, but for electronic, it's kind of still hard.
Well, talking about, because we talk about it a lot, and you mentioned a few times, new artists and new people coming on and all that. Like, do you think that a person or an artist or group, whatever, gets popular today in the same way that they did pre-internet, in terms of the reason people like them, or is that all changed? I mean, is it now just because you're a good-looking person, or was that always the case anyway, even pre-internet?
Well, it's always great to have a brand, and that's key. But honestly, these days you don't even need a fan base, I believe. I think that the music's so saturated, everyone's looking for something new. So you can have somebody that uploads their music on SoundCloud, which we talked about this, Wes, and it's great. You can put your music out whenever, not wait for an exclusive or a month or a label to put you in order and line you up. You can put it out immediately and get a ton of impressions, and that's when you get your fan base. So these days, I think because it's so saturated, it really all depends on if your music's catchy enough. If you do have a nice look and a brand, and that will all follow behind it. I mean, tomorrow a new kid tonight can make a great track and get 10 million plays on SoundCloud, and boom, he's got his fan base.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes, so we get all these tools with the technology and stuff, and I'm a huge fan of them, so it's certainly not like I'm trying to insinuate that I'd like it to go back the other way, although I've heard many opinions that would like it to do that. But I never really had any great, my best success monetarily and in any other form has always been post-internet. Even though I'm not 25 getting started, but for me, that's been the case. So, I certainly feel like in some way, whether it's my ability to understand how to use those tools, because I'm proficient in a lot of things and wear a lot of hats and all that, maybe that's been a lot of it for me. But I know I definitely struggled more so with what I felt was, also good music. It's very subjective, but from my perspective, I felt it was also good, the pre-internet stuff at that time for the tools we had to work with. So I definitely like the tools and the era of the tools, but it is kind of ironic that that really it seems to have changed a lot in terms of how you grow a fan base and how people come to learn about you. Just that's the way it seems to me. It seems significant.
Ellen DeGeneres puts her on her show. Like Ellen DeGeneres, if you're on an Ellen DeGeneres show, it's like immediate fan base.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's kind of the same, right? Like, I mean, it goes back to what's the name of the show? It was Dick Van Dyke is one of them, but even further back, there's these Music Man shows, right?
John Carson back in the day.
Yeah, where you'd have, I guess that's the equivalent, right? Well, that's how Elvis became worldwide famous, right? Was doing his hip gyrating from the waist up on national TV, and so I guess that's kind of always been the same. I guess it's just the way that it's transferred and how many people can access it now is maybe different. I think it's a little bit less like rumor mill, just like you don't buy tickets, like go to the rave and call the number. There's no ticket, all that jazz. Like there's still some people that try to recreate that today, but it's definitely not a requirement. It used to be a requirement, like.
Now it's just like
it wasn't because you were trying to hide the party or be cool. It was because you didn't have any way to call anybody, right? It's like totally all like that. So, well, anyway, that's kind of interesting. So, talking about you mentioned a couple other things, man. Like you're involved with some pretty heavy YouTube channels. What's that whole experience like? What's going on in that YouTube specifically, that arena? Like, what's going on there?
When it comes to YouTube, our biggest one again is Traffic Base. It's our in-house label. It's Colton and Aaron. They run that side, and I take care of the radio on DI.FM track channel. and we keep going back to the trap because it's we got a lot of hip hop also under Jamvana, and continuing to grow, and we'll get into that later of that genre growing. But
Can you explain the difference to me between trap and hip hop?
Well, I mean, it depends on what kind of trap you're talking about. If we're talking about that trap music, I mean, that the hood, that great bump in the trunk stuff, or are you talking about kids doing the electronic stuff and putting a new name on it?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I can definitely. So for me, I can definitely, listen to two different songs and tell you some distinct differences. There's no question about that. And I can probably pick, some era that they might have been created in, and maybe even some tools that were used to create them, or get a good guess at it, right? I mean, I can do that. But what I find ironic is that, if you ask a typical fan at a club, they actually can't describe it. So I'm just curious, like, from your perspective, if you can describe it.
Well, I think when it comes to the trap these days, the electronic elements over, hip hop and the direction that it's going, it's just a genre, that was a movement, and they put a name on it, just like dubstep. It's been around. But it wasn't a genre like Moombahton or glitch hop that was doing anything, but they've all been around, and they pushed it. Honestly, I don't know the beginners of the trap movement. I want to say that we kind of were a part of it in the beginning when the genres were changing. But to me personally, it's just electronic music. A lot of bleed.
I mean, I feel like the first time I heard the first time I heard production elements that I hear in what is, definitely considered trap today, for me it had to be back in like Dirty South, Atlanta hip hop. When that stuff started coming out, that was the first music I heard that had those snare rolls and those really clean sounds and very minimal. It was almost like minimal and slower hip hop, which you could double the tempo as well. But like to me, that was the first origins I ever heard of that. I don't know if you, and those elements still stand in literally every trap song I've heard in the last 2 years.
Yeah, they do, and they're also using a lot of breaks and a lot of different other genres. They'll classify as the other genres. The snare rolls and a lot of breaks. And the build-ups that are in trap are the same. So. Which genre is working with which? You can take a sample pack, or you can create your own sample pack, and you make all the genres the same sample pack. So that's where I don't understand at times where the genre talks come in. Like, oh, they're making trap, but then all of a sudden the breaks are made with the same elements. And I'm not gonna say his name. Great producer of mine, and he gave me. I look up to him to this day. I'm looking for him, but. We went over this and gave me a lot of history on it, and then he showed me it, and at the end of the day, it's the same stuff being used in them. Even Moombahton, even Diplo, all this stuff, all those snare rolls are the same that's in trap. They're the same that is classified of the Moombahton and the dubstep and the glitch hop and the breaks. I guess it's how you're stacking them. Or what?
I don't know, man. I'm sure like anybody listening to this is like losing their brain right now. I saw this sign today. It was one of some meme thing, and it was like, and maybe somebody else saw it, but it was basically like a split down the middle. It had the list of basically all the genres from Beatport, and then and then a line, and then on the other side of the line it said electronic music. And that word was like eye level on two people. One was standing looking at the big long list, and the other standing looking at the word electronic music. And then at the top it like categorized, and it was like DJ, producer, fanboy, and then on the other side it was like average person. Fucking staring at it. And it's really like, I think that's pretty true, man. Like that's why I joke with you, like, my big joke is you ask me what genre, I'm like, it's Wes Smith Yo, dude.
Yeah, it's Wes Smith.
That's the genre to me. I don't know, man. So.
Yeah, I don't see the classification on it. And taking you as a prime example of scoring, a Sony game, moving on into different Red Bull, DJing at different events, and a lot of people would classify you as break, but you're breaking grounds that a lot of the breaks producers haven't did. So, it's just good music at the end of the day that people are enjoying. You know.
So check this out. So check this out. I'm gonna read you a genre. Just you tell me if you can pick the genre. So the percussion samples of choice when making blank are usually originating from the Roland TR-808 drum machine. When speaking of the originators in the blank genre, Southern rappers like Waka Flocka Flame, Gucci Mane, Young Jeezy, 3 6 Mafia, and Manny Fresh come to mind. So what are they describing?
Are we going back to the trap? Are we going back to the trap or the breaks or the?
Where I said insert genre, what genre was that I just read about?
I don't know. I can give you a list of them that every store.
It's trap, bro. It's trap.
What is trap?
I think it's pretty funny, man.
Yeah, and those guys actually.
Hey, case in point, it's hard, dude. Case in point, it's hard, man. Like I told you that story, dude. I went out here, like I go out here when I'm not traveling in San Diego, and really like some of the nights here in LA. Some awesome music here, DJs and producers and whatnot in Southern California, and as many people know, and I told you that one night I went out and like I asked somebody, what kind of music is this, and they were like, trap house.
So
and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
so of course immediately I go look at when I get home the next day after I recover, I go look check hashtags on Instagram, trying to find this, is this even popular term or whatever, and it really isn't. But I did think it was funny that I was out at this banging basically house night. There was a lot of bass in it. I would have just called it bass music, but interesting.
It says trap music has recently been making a new school comeback in many new forms such as trap, chirp, C-punk, side-trap, and trap step. It's another further dividing it down.
You're gonna get us in trouble. You're gonna get us in a lot of trouble talking about all this genre
That's
stuff.
the Urban Dictionary.
I know somebody somewhere is biting,
drilling down further and further.
Yeah, somebody somewhere is biting their nails about my lack of classification skills, and yours too, Rob.
I worked at a record store and I couldn't keep them straight ever.
Sidetrap, that's a genre now?
Yeah, sidetrap, trap step, chirp, and C-punk.
Well, so after beating genres to death, let me ask you this. So clearly it's important to music stores to do this because I guess it helps people find it, at least from that store's perspective. But I'm curious, do you think it's used? I mean, I do see genres used to describe parties, but I don't go to parties. I can't really think of parties I've ever been to in the last few years because they described it as a genre party. I knew the artists and I wanted to go hear them. I might know that they typically played drum and bass, for example, but I didn't go because, and I don't even recall seeing the genres listed on the flyer. Do you see a lot of that over on your side of the country?
No. I mean, I see promoters trying to throw their genre nights and classify it, yes. But over here in Orlando, they keep it house, and they keep it a couple genres. It's all house. It's all house. Yeah. You got a couple genres that they all fall back on, whatever became popular. And going back to the store talk, the reason why stores can't improvise on every single genre is because there's not enough popular people in the genre for it to succeed. So we don't have enough labels to make that side trap or house trap or whatever trap or subgenre. like Moobatone became huge, but there was
my brain feels tapped, dude.
Yeah, but there's just not enough of a following when it comes to producers, the buyers. And the support for it.
Well, let's go. Okay, so let's talk about genres are out there. We could talk all day and chat all day about different perspectives, definitions, and what we think they are. But let's talk about the thing I think is really interesting is that this whole hashtag concept. I believe its roots were in either Twitter, probably Twitter. Did you see hashtags before Twitter in anything, Rob?
hashtags before Twitter.
That's the first place I ever saw it.
No, actually, no. Twitter. I want to say Twitter was the first.
So they're clearly heavily used in Twitter. I mean, it revolves around it. You know, that and kind of the 140 or close, whatever, 144, whatever the short character message is kind of the centric things that have always been there to Twitter and make it work great. And then I saw them in Instagram, which is obviously also heavily dependent on it. And then they showed up in Facebook, which, you know, now works as essentially a hyperlink based type of you know, search within text, since Facebook has much broader volumes of information you could put on it than Instagram or Twitter, right? Which are both effectively short message servers at their core. So one thing I think is really interesting is now, as you know, so SoundCloud started pretty simple, and then now in the last year with monetization and other, you know, sort of evolutions of them coming along, they've added in, you know, you can still do all the hashtags you want, but now they have, you know, a genre tag spot which is user definable. So that's interesting, because effectively what happens there is, I believe that feeds what is now their, I don't think they call it charts, collections streams or something. Is that right?
Right. Well, you know how it goes with the genres on SoundCloud is that's how they identify everybody. So when it goes back to what we were talking about, you know, with the genres and the subgenres, everything is electronic and dance. You know, and everything will fall under that genres. And when you do put those tags in, that's just, you get the community on that on SoundCloud, and that community will follow you. More than likely, these days, people are going to look up that hashtag, and then they're going to follow you.
Well, but like, I guess part of what I'm trying to say in terms of the shift just around this point, not really caring about genres per se, but more the way technology has affected it. So when you get a mass scale like SoundCloud, you could compare them, for example, you know, let's just compare them to, I guess Pandora is clearly up there in that category of streaming audio. Spotify's up there. Apple Music is making big headway. Did I miss anybody that's in the major up there?
No, you're pretty good up there.
Yeah, so which ones of those services, other than SoundCloud, which I already noted, have user-definable genre system that basically works on volume, just like hashtags do in Twitter and Instagram, to be able to find stuff?
For the hashtagging, honestly, man.
Yeah, like, well, just user-definable genres. They just happen to be hashtags that get used in SoundCloud. But does Pandora or Spotify have user-definable genres of individual tracks?
I don't know. We don't put enough thought into Pandora when it comes to the hashtag part of it. When it comes to
Spotify?
When it comes to Spotify, I don't think so either. Plus, their system's super hard sometimes to find people, and I don't think so. I honestly don't think so.
Well, because like we have no control as a label, as an artist label. From my perspective, you know, when we put out things for distribution, for example, and I think this may be an interesting point to any DJ, producer, artist listening, is that, you know, kind of how labels work, right? And we're going to kind of go into that a little bit, but you know, we get no control over, for example, how things show up on Beatport, right? So in terms of classification. And so we also get no control with Pandora if we put it there. We also get no control on Spotify, et cetera, et cetera. Like we get to put in a vote, like, hey, this is what we think it is, but that doesn't mean that's what it's going to end up being classified as by them. Whereas SoundCloud, I guess my point is, from a streaming perspective, they're up there, you know, in the mix, number 2, number 3 in terms of total volume, I think, and total users and streams per month kind of thing worldwide. And so they're that big, and they allow, you know, whoever uploads the track to say it's whatever they want to say it is. You can say it's robot music or planet, you know, whatever, the Cosmos jams, you know, and that becomes a genre. And so if enough people, like the way hashtagging works, if enough people, whether you know them or not, also start calling their genre, you know, robot disco, then hey, that's a plug. No, you know what I mean? Then then that like hashtags rise up, and that's where their power comes from in Twitter and Instagram. That same concept can happen in SoundCloud. I don't believe that can happen in any of the other streaming sources.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something they roll out in the future just because a lot of them like to copy each other, but I don't see that happening now. What I do see is promoting within the streaming platforms like we talked about. But I think when it comes to SoundCloud, their hashtag mechanism is that exactly, like if you're on their platform and you search for that genre, whatever pops up, you're going to like and you're going to follow. And it's that, hey, listen, W. If we can go to the majors up here and tell them that, it would be a great idea, and that's a good one for it. Because the hashtag, you find everyone that's on it at the same time. It's just something that I don't know if they will. But yeah, I understand your point. But yeah, it's just not out.
Hey Rob, what would Trump do?
What would Trump do?
What's his
hashtag? I don't even know if he listens to music, but I'm all for him.
What do you think his favorite music is, dude? What do you think his favorite class of music is?
Oh, he likes trap music. He likes trap. He's listening to that.
I've definitely seen some good videos with some trap and hip hop with his headline. Of course, I saw that with Obama too. Pretty funny.
Obama's yeah, he's gonna come out just making movies and smoking whatever he can smoke and just saying fuck it after a while. Oh, excuse me, I didn't know. Yeah, but
Hi, chat.
Rating. Bye-bye.
That's where I see him.
Yeah, it's pretty long. Right, yeah, I think it's the longest. We were just saying, I think it's the longest we've been before the guest, lots of cussing or the guest is drunk. One of the two.
All right, just making sure. I'm just trying to keep it professional over here, guys.
All right, well, you mentioned house music, and you mentioned around your area. I think we're talking Tampa, partly maybe Tampa, Orlando. But what's the that comes to mind? Amphitheater. Is that the name of that place? It burned down. Dude, what happened?
Speaking of, I'm gonna do a little.
I want to know.
Pound for Friday nights at the amphitheater, which you got to meet. Went to Dan and Brad. He just came over to Nicholas and escorted you in because they were just awesome people. Devin, Tommy, they all did a great job. What a great group of DJs, not playing in front of so many people for so long and taking it to their heads. They would do anything for anybody in the scene. But so from what I heard, a welder was on top welding at the amphitheater in it, and it caught flame and it burned down. And it's very sad that happened. It's a legendary spot, and everybody in the world. And all the DJs and producers, if they haven't played there, they know about it, they've been there. But I can tell you, everyone knows that it will be back. But yeah, burnt to the ground.
So the resident DJs didn't just burn it down.
I don't want them coming looking after me, so I'm not going to put my 2 cents on what I think happened. Let's just say it's Cigar City over there.
I'm just curious. I'm curious what they were welding on. Like I went there one time, guys, and I guess maybe they were installing some new trusses or something, but I just don't. It's kind of strange for a building to be there that long and then be in there welding at nighttime.
A welder catching fire at the
Well, it caught on fire. It caught on fire on like a Tuesday night, right?
Yeah, it was in the weekday. Brad hit me up because I had no idea. I think I was even asleep at the time.
It's not like fire. It's not like fire. And now we're to the science portion of the show, everybody. So just bear with me here. Wes is gonna drop some science. So this is gonna be painfully obvious, but I think we're all aware that it's not like fire spreads slowly. So if you're welding during normal business hours, let's just say, because some welders only work during normal business hours, right? Then it just seems strange that the fire with all due respect to history and all that, I'm not talking about that, but people think that a fire spreads at night, because I saw a bunch of pictures and videos, so, you can't have a fire from welding start at, 3:30, which is the latest that I've ever seen a welder work in my entire life, until, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm not trying to start anything, I'm just saying, seamstress.
Again, it's Cigar City, man. If you look up the history.
You don't know, so I'm asking the wrong guy. You don't know.
And that's just something I heard, heard it through the grapevine and some of my friends.
It is Cigar City. I would have believed that. Now that I would have believed, I would believe totally that, a cigar, was left burning maybe, and then somehow.
Fire or something?
Well, yeah, or the cigar was almost full, and someone knocked off work, and then that smoldered for a long time, and then it kind of got to the end, and one of those funny little things where the ball rolls around and flips switches. This went on for a while with several cigars, and I don't know, one finally fell off the DJ booth and caught that on fire, and it was slow. I mean, I'm going with that.
The bottom line is there was people there. How did they not put the small fire out to burn the whole place down? I mean, that whole place was the roof.
There was nobody there.
There's hadn't been the welder.
I think I'm just what I'm saying. What I'm recollecting was just that there was no one. It wasn't a club night, right? So people. No one was injured, right? So.
Well, it's the amphitheater, man. I mean, if you're welding, you're smoking cigars, or whatever you're doing, you better pee on it. You better get some water somewhere.
Are you allowed to smoke? Are you allowed to smoke inside nightclubs anymore in Florida?
No. It depends on some of them, but majority of them no. There's some that still allow it, yeah.
So amphitheater, you couldn't smoke inside amphitheater, right?
I think they would tell you to put out, but when it got really busy, people did what they want.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't.
We can say whatever we want now because they're not open, so it doesn't really matter. It's not like they're gonna be upset, say anything you want. But that place was clearly historic, man, and I appreciated going over there when I was down in Tampa. Was out for that Revelation party, I think, and was there a couple days early, and that was awesome. I appreciated the hospitality from you and the Jamvana crew for sure. And it was I was a little bit gutted. I mean, I don't have any history in amphitheater, so I totally respect all the people that have a long history there, and a moment of silence for it. But I only went there once. But just even with that, I was a little bit gutted just because it was a nice place, and you could just kind of feel that vibe of a lot of different people in there. The night we were there, it was pretty packed, and it's just a good time going on. Shame to see that go.
Yeah, it'll be back though. I mean, the owners and the few owners that it was, switched hands through, they're at the Ritz these days. They're going to come back. Insomniac, that's one of their main spots. It'll come back bigger than ever. They'll rebuild it. It'll probably be a little bit, but it'll be back. It'll be back.
Yeah, cool. Hey man, speaking of Tampa, when that reminded me when we were there, you guys were supposed to take me fishing. And I see you guys posting fishing photos all the time, you and Brad. And, you didn't take me fishing, man.
Well,
I saw you were out this weekend. Y'all were out this weekend.
Wait, did you take him paddleboarding, though? Were you supposed to take him paddleboarding?
Yeah, you didn't take me go.
No, he didn't go because he didn't go for the same reason that Gio didn't go, because everyone that visited here was falling into the Wiggle black hole. And it best laid plans, and then they DJ Wiggle, and then that was the end of that.
Never to be seen again.
Alright, my bad.
Yes.
Yeah. I woke up on some couch in San Diego, where am I right now? I have no idea. And all they was W. I'm like, Wes, come get me. I don't know where I'm at right now.
I'm not, man. But what's up with the fishing now? Really, with the fishing? Because you and I never really talked fishing before, but I don't think you understand how near and dear that was to me. And I was upset, man. Let's bring back some childhood memories. Y'all were going to take me wade fishing. What happened? Was it a bad weather or hurricane or something?
We never went. I'm just going to blame it on the girls. Probably our girls. They probably wanted to eat the all-you-can-eat crab legs, or something happened with the women. We didn't get to go fishing. Could have been the bad weather, but the problem is, we fished so much since then. There's just been so many issues that's popped up, and I'm picking one of them. But there was an issue where we couldn't fish. We were all in town, and I'm going to blame it on Barack. It's Brad's fault. It's not mine. But speaking of that, next time you come, he moved to Jacksonville, and I went and saw him last week, and we fished and thought about you the whole time, and we did.
Yeah, thanks.
Did you catch a fish in Wes's honor?
Dude, this is this guy. This is this guy. The guy we're talking about. This is his profile page on.
Yeah. That's where it is. Okay. So that's like cool stuff.
You can't say the names and stuff because the fish is so big in front of his head.
So funny. He gets close up.
What I'm saying is that's the kind of level shit y'all are catching and not inviting me.
You're so jealous.
No.
So jealous.
No, we're not catching that.
I think you need
Rob.
to take him fishing.
My phone's dead, but
Rob, hey Rob, do you guys fly fish or what kind of tackle do you use, man?
when we go in of shrimp, we use live bait. We get some.
Is Brad read the bowl for you?
Did you bait your hooks?
Did he tell you that?
I'm just dude, I think your fishing story just got called out.
I have an issue. Okay, I have an issue with killing the shrimp. So I don't like killing them. So I've been, I know 2 different ways to hook the shrimp, and even hooking them through the back tail, I feel bad. So these days I wear a glove, and I turn it upside down so I don't see them, and I eat single shrimp that I grab. I tell them a story, and I'm sorry I have to do this, and off you go. Hope you catch me something, and I feel bad for it, man. I don't know what it is about stepping on bugs and just smaller things that I'm bigger and I'm a giant too. I feel bad, So I don't bait my own hooks unless it's fake. And if I'm baiting live ones, yes, I use a glove.
But you don't feel bad killing the fish?
Dude, Brad has
Brad
I
doesn't.
swear, if you go to
Brad doesn't care.
No, Brad doesn't care. He'll put 2 of them on there.
Yeah, if you go to Brad's Facebook, it's got every other picture is fish.
Oh, not Brad. That's why it's a big.
And the one picture that I zoomed in on that I was showing on the screen, you could see it on his profile picture, and then it zoomed in on his cover photo, and his hand's all bloody. So it's or brown or something. I don't know where that finger's been.
Brody, yeah.
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, luckily for him, he lives on this beautiful marsh in Jacksonville, right near Jack's Beach. So all he does is get out there, go catch them, and fillets them. He became a master filleter, and that's all he does. Is he's a fisherman now, man. He has his Ginu because he hasn't bought the boat yet, and the Ginu is it's awesome.
I saw that thing. Is that the thing you were riding in with your feet in that video?
You were speeding in that thing, right? Yeah, that was it, man. That thing's awesome.
What's it called?
What is it?
It's a Ginu. It's a Ginu. It's a canoe with a motor and a little bit bigger, and it's called a Ginu.
A Ginu.
Nice.
Ginu.
Ginu.
It's a combination of something. Oh, wait a minute. There's a Ginu manufacturer in Jacksonville or Titusville. That's close to where you guys are, huh?
Yeah. Hey man, if you want to get on the water quick, the Ginu is the best way to go. For bass, saltwater, the marshes. I mean, we took it pretty far out. If we would have broke down, it would have been pretty terrifying for me.
Oh, that's the jam. It's like a long boat. Here's some pictures.
Oh yeah, there it is. No. You got some pit Ginus in there. You got to go to there's Brad. Brad's this is the third one to the right. Yeah.
Can you click on that? Yeah.
Yeah, some of those are more like boats, but
yeah. It's a canoe with a motor on it.
Dude, that is
like a souped up.
Look at that, bro.
Look at that bad boy. That's too pinned out for a view. That can't be.
It looks like it has involved from somewhere.
That's what it looks like something my family would have. Poconos.
You don't care my ride.
Oh my God. Hey, speaking of boats, Kelly. Hey Rob, we're gonna take a quick intermission to Kelly. What you guys were talking when we came on about her boat. What's going on with that? Kelly, give us a boat update. You look awesome today with your sailor hat. Is that a sailor hat? Captain's hat? What is that?
It is. It's my camo sailor hat. It's for the Atlas out there, or the water out there.
I got camo pants on.
Wow. Wait. There, now show him.
Oh.
Now you can see it. There you go.
Shake it, shake it. The update on the boat. Boat life is awesome. I have my neighbor Anthony here next to me. Hi.
Hi.
I said this is all smoke and mirrors here. Like, pretty much this is my.
He's got to be like
my
what
bathroom and my bedroom all in one. Huh?
I said Anthony's got to be like, what are you guys doing?
I do have to say when we fell into the genre hole, I think his like eyes glazed over and he like went into his happy place because like he's the one that was looking at it from like this view and we just went. Boo,
Once I saw the big fish, I was totally back in again.
Okay, and the big fish brought him back in because we're trying to get kayaks so we can go out in the water, maybe like some paddle boats.
Tandem kayak.
Maybe a canoe.
You're getting close to the canoe. Get the canoe.
Isn't it like very canoe? Isn't it like a canoe or something?
I feel like y'all should just step it out and jump right in. You can do like a joint deal and put that canoe on Airbnb when you're not using it.
All right.
That would be awesome.
BYO mosquito repellent.
Yeah.
How many boats? I'm still on boat life, real quick. How many boats are there where you guys live in New York? There.
So we live on a dock. It's a private dock, and I would say 12.
At maximum, depending on in the summer, 12 probably.
And not everyone comes out, so there's some people that stay in their boats, but
they hide.
But for the most part, it's like a big family that comes out, and we cook and we party and we have a good time. It's a very different life.
Very different.
He just moved here from California, actually, so he's having a little bit of a different experience as well.
Every experience is always different.
He's in Sausalito. And just moved here a month ago.
But it's kind of cool in Sausalito, and Sausalito has a lot of boats too. So
I lived in the boathouse area, so it was like the one last stretch of Sausalito land where there were like some artists left because they'd all like moved along and either to Oakland or out of California.
Do you know who lived there? Do you know who Alan Watts is?
Well, I've actually been there. It's like legitimate, like a boathouse row. You talking about that area?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's just a row of boathouses, and then there's like a couple.
Yeah, it's not like a marina. It's like a legitimate boathouse row. Huh.
Yep, absolutely.
Kelly, you were saying that somebody lived there? You were saying somebody specific lived there?
Alan Watts?
Oh,
yeah, Alan Watts. Yeah, exactly.
It's like this.
That's awesome.
It's like this. I mean, maybe yours wasn't this big, but just so people have an idea what we're talking about. If you haven't ever seen it. Yeah, I mean, those are kind of junky, but
I can't really tell.
The chance of someone that lives in one of those, like, even knowing who I am is pretty slim. But
I can't
anyway, their houses. Google it. San Francisco, Sausalito, Houseboat Road. You'll see all
they're just pontoon boats, so they're not, they don't have hulls in the water, so they're like pontoon boats that you would go out and party in, but it's got, a bedroom and a kitchen and a living room.
Awesome.
And
Rob, have you ever lived in a houseboat, Rob?
The what?
Have you ever lived in a houseboat, Rob?
No, I've never lived in a houseboat. No, I get motion sickness at times. I'd probably throw up.
You go fishing in a boat.
What's the word, Rob? What's the word? Like for campers that don't do any of their own camping, they call it like glamping. Is there a term for fishing?
Yeah, no, it's just me not wanting to do it. I don't know, man. I wish I had Brian here. He would explain it a little bit more.
I'll have Brad on the next one.
Yeah, I'll get him on here.
Can I call my lifeline in?
Why don't we just have a fishing boat trip, Wes Smith Variety ShYo boat ShYo?
Great idea. I'm down.
I'm all for it next.
Night fishing.
I'm all for it next year in Miami. I think that'd be great.
Are you coming to Miami? You're coming to Miami next year?
Probably me. Yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't have any reason not to be there. Like, I mean, if I get booked to do something else, then I'll go do something else, you know. But I enjoy Miami. It's cool.
So
It's fun.
we should take this time in front of the people and our friends around us to guarantee the charter fishing Miami extravaganza.
Oh, if I'm there, we're going, dude. I run every time I'm down there, you know, for the music conference. I always run around that whole marina, getting like my 6 milers in, and there's all those signs you can call for the charter boats and stuff. So yeah, I know it's there.
They have night fishing. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, dang, I lost my train of thought, man. I'm not even, you know, many days I have one beer for my happy hour over here. The beers over here kill me. I drank one the other day. You know, Rob, you're a beer fan, but man, I drank one the other day, and my buddy didn't tell me, and I didn't ask what the ABV was on it, and I sucked it down pretty good. It was like, oh, nice, cool. It's hot outside. And then he's like, that was a 13%er, and I was like, oh.
It's like a shot.
And it just
One of those and I'm out.
like it was like a Tuesday, like today. It just destroyed the night.
On a Tuesday, yes.
I had all kinds of plans to just destroy my night. Well, hey man, speaking of Miami, and then that's back to kind of, well, the first time we met in person was in Miami, and it was around Music Winter Conference.
Music Winter Conference.
Winter Music Conference.
No, it's Miami Music Week. Miami Music Week. Miami Music
Not
Week.
many.
Oh, wait. It's Ultra Music Festival Week.
What's that?
Ultra Music
I
Festival.
know. There's too many of them.
What's the difference, Rob?
Okay, so Ultra is the festival. Miami Music Week, you get a band, and you get to go to all the clubs and be more intimate with the DJs. You know, you go to Space, you can go everywhere in South Beach. And then the WMC, now I think it's at the end of it. It's just the conference, the music conference that's been going on. So, yeah, party, kind of networking party. Right? Did that sum it up?
Yeah. Hey man, along those lines, and one of the reasons I might would not go other than just doing stuff other places is we're talking about going to EDC week and EDM biz and all that stuff. And well, you haven't been to that one yet, but have you been to a different music conference or music related conference somewhere else other than Miami?
Other than Miami, I've done some small things that I've been into. There was a hip hop one that Angel throws in Tampa back in the day when I had my record shop. I would go to because that's where I got my vinyl from. But other than that, like smaller ones, Gainesville, yeah, just smaller ones. Not anything the caliber of Miami. We used to set up at we set up one time at Remix Hotel, and that's when the conference was really pumping. But outside of Florida, no. Vegas will be the first one, and I'm
Yeah, I mean, I haven't either. Yeah, I mean, I know we talked about several. It just seemed like that would be a not only a fun one. I mean, I went to EDM Biz. I guess I can't say that I haven't been to another one, but that's the only one I went to last year or 2 years ago. But I just went, you know, strict kind of really just like a fan. I didn't even really know what it was, dude. You know, like to be honest, like my exposure was to WMC, the traditional WMC, I guess, concept as a music conference, right? And I didn't expect, you know, that's changed a lot over the years, so I didn't really expect a whole lot out of the one in Vegas. You know, I just figured it would be, you know, maybe a West Coast version of the same thing. But as I've told you, I mean, that what I learned when I got there, which is not completely evident just hitting the website, is that, you know, it's all run by Insomniac. So they really do a great job of tying in artists that are going to be at EDC, artists that are not going to be there, etc. You know, that are playing during the week but not necessarily at the festival. You know, a lot of good panels, that kind of stuff. So if you're listening to this, I highly recommend, if you're interested in, you know, the business of music. That's a pretty cool place for electronic music in particular. Don't let the words, you know, EDM. Speaking of all these genres, that kind of scares some people sometimes. But as I've been pretty clear, like I don't like to me, I don't. Someone says EDM to me, like I don't think. I don't think a genre. Like I mean, it's collectively all of it to me. Like I don't.
It's like all-encompassing to me.
It's funny because people will say to me, "No, you know, like it's like that festival banger stuff," and I'm like, "That's not what it means to me. Like it,
Yeah.
I can't relate because that's not what it means to me. Like I wasn't. It wasn't a genre I was born. It was a thing that just characterized all of it to me. So that's all I know. Yeah. I take it literal, I guess. I don't take it as a genre. I just take it literal as a term, electronic dance music. But that being said, what I was talking about Vegas was, you know, it was a little strange to me, I guess, at first because it was EDM biz, and then I didn't think about it at all, actually, at first. And then later when I was there and I heard people questioning, like, why they named it that, I'm thinking, why wouldn't you name it that? Like, to me, it was pretty obvious. It's a business conference about electronic dance music. Sounds like what I want to go to. Like, it made it really easy for me to find it on the internet, because that's how I actually found it, was like by accident, surfing around. Yeah. I mean, how would you find Winter Music Conference? How would you have any chance of finding that?
The WMC, Winter Music, and it's not.
You have no chance of finding that on the internet today and knowing what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I went to it and I still don't know what it was about.
That was a different story. Those are not PG stories. Strictly the drinking and karaoke. But so Rob, I mentioned this event that I'm playing at this weekend coming up called the West Coast Weekender. Kind of another one of those, you know, like an acronym-ish in a sense, I guess. But my understanding is that, and both on the website and just talking to a few of the people that are involved, you know, is that it is an effort to not only showcase San Diego music and artists and promoters and all that stuff, but I feel like it's a bit like the origins or an attempt at a bit like the origins would have been of WMC, which goes back like what 20-something years, predates anything I did in music.
Yeah. So So you were telling me about this last year. You're more involved in it? Who's throwing?
I have nothing to do with promoting it. I'm playing at it, and then she's showing you the flyer. So if you look for the graphic out there, you could kind of.
It's westcoastweekender.net. Westcoastweekender.net is what the website is. But cool. It's a number of local house groups that have come together. It's actually local house groups and one kind of like a bass music group, and they've all kind of merged together to kind of throw this big thing in unity. So it's kind of a neat thing. Because I think it's the first time I've ever seen all these groups actually come together to work on one event. They kind of like pair off, you know, times 2 or 3 of them, but to see them all together is kind of a new thing. So and it seems like I think it's going to be definitely a pro.
Yeah, I think
it's going to be very pro.
From what I know in detail, yeah, it's going to be professional. Working with them from an artist perspective, but also speaking on one of the panels and that. But it's definitely very cool because I don't know. Well, as we were talking, I mean, there's movement. I guess that's in where's that? Detroit. Is that the name of that conference? Conference?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So those are probably it, right? WMC, movement, EDM Biz, EDC Week.
There's
any others you could think of?
There's ADE is supposed to be the #1, and I continue, and I've always heard about that we should go to all the time. There's a lot of everyone's there actually, and I've been invited so many times. Amsterdam, yeah. ADE, to my knowledge, for the last decade, has just been the #1 to go to.
That would be awesome to go to for sure. But that list I gave of the U.S., that's probably the ones.
Oh, they're South by Southwest, but it's got a lot of film to it as well. So it's not strictly music. There's a lot of music in it.
I've never been. Don't know.
South by Southwest is mostly bands, right? Or is that a combination?
It's all genres as well.
Everything. Okay. Yeah, I've never gone to that. So they even say on their website
Relationship goals.
Oh, right. So they I thought I read that. I didn't want to mix it, but yeah, thanks for looking that up. Yeah, so with the West Coast Weekend, they actually say right on their website, you know, kind of a nod to the Winter Music Conference style event. So yeah, I know it's 3 days: Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's the parties Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. It's not just a free for all, in terms of everybody promote. It's like specific parties, keeping it kind of tight in that sense. I think for year one, and then there's panels on Saturday and Sunday. So it's 5 good days of that day nights of activity. It's pretty cool. So.
Siesta Records, All House Use, Soul on Beat, Art of Sound, SD Union, United by Bass. So there's actually 2 bass crews, and then the Deep End. So it's like 4 different house communities and 2 bass crews. That's cool.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
You should have come out, Rob.
You should come out.
What's your problem?
I know. What's my problem? I should have stayed there a whole month. I should have came here, and then we go to base.
There's still tickets available.
Too busy. Too busy fishing, dude.
That's Brad. That's Brad, man. I'm telling you, I need a glove to bait my own stuff. That's more Brad.
Hey, so what's the from your East Coast side? What's your perspective, or what is a perspective, your perspective, whatever, of the difference between speaking electronic music and maybe electronic music culture, whatever that is, between West Coast and East Coast, U.S.? What would you say are kind of characterize some of that, from kind of the business perspective of music, people involved, all that?
From the West Coast to the East Coast, we have a lot of clicky stuff over here, and when I have been out on the West Coast, it's been really chill, really good vibes. We do run a couple of labels, and even outside of the East Coast, that they're just really cool, down to earth. A little bit more, I guess, a little bit more understanding. Not as negative, not as clicky.
You don't think that's everywhere? Like, just because you're visiting, you get the good part of it?
I guess it's because when I'm visiting, I get the good part, and then I want to move there, and then, that all falls into place, and then I love everybody, right? But in the music industry, what I've saw so far in traveling over there, it's a chill vibe, man. It really is. I'm sure it's the same everywhere, but you guys got more of a chill vibe, and we do too in Florida. I'm not saying that we don't here, but over here it is really cliquey. If you're not, supporting this section or that part or that group, you can't be a part of it. And I hate it that it's like that. But unfortunately,
I believe it's funny. I haven't been out here now, I don't know, back and forth for 10 years, but 5 years solid. Like I believe like the weather in places has so much to do. And it's not just the weather, because it's easy to say, oh, we've got some of the greatest weather, in the world here. You got pretty good weather in some spots in Florida as well. As you know, I grew up there as a kid. Before heading to DC and kind of around the rest of the planet. But yeah, I mean, the weather then also promotes people doing more things outside.
right.
And then the city itself does more things to make it easy for people to do things outside. Like the weather in itself just manifests this whole different vibe. And I think that's when people say laid back. I mean, this is the psychology section of the show. From the humanitarian part, from that perspective, it's like, I think that what you're saying is true. I mean, I've been trying to not consciously try to figure it out, but I definitely noticed the difference having lived in both places and having worked, within music in both places, and it's definitely different. I think the clicky stuff. For me, I haven't really run into much of it. I mean, I stay pretty focused on doing my thing, and so I'm just happy when I do get the time to go out. So I'm not really involved in the local scenes enough to, I guess, have even talk about it in that regard. So I don't even know, but I'm guessing that it exists anywhere. I mean, I do hear people say this and that. Maybe not San Diego, but LA. But I hear it. San Francisco. What I'm saying is I hear the same thing from people who have been in it a long time, like Rob has out there. I hear it. But I do also get the sense, like you said, that definitely people tend to just seem like they're a little more relaxed, like they had a better day.
Yeah. And they're motivated.
you seldom run into people that look like they had a bad day.
Yeah.
You know, and then everything seems to be just a little bit more interesting, like, or just easygoing, because no one's really having a shitty day out.
No one's been stuck in the traffic sweating their ass off. I used to live in Miami, and so I would get stuck in traffic in this little Civic that I had. It had no air conditioning, and I would just be miserable, just like sweating by the time I got to work. And, yeah, not having a good day.
Oh yeah, when it's hot here, it's super hot. And you know, it's not just like the electronic scene or anything like that either. It's bars and everything, restaurants and you know, and it trickles down. You know, McDonald's and Burger King always fight, and Taco Bell slams them with a breakfast now. It's all businesses. It's everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
So
I always feel like. So I think, you know, so you know, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I guess there's a lot of stuff to do everywhere, no matter where you live, and the different guests we've had on here have all given really good local insight into like wherever they're from. But it just seems, it does seem to be though, like at times, like if you have really nasty wherever you live, it just tends to be less things to do there. You know?
It becomes like an effort. It becomes like a mission to go out and do anything.
Yeah.
Everything's like
Oh man, when I lived in New York, and New York's not a great example of not having much to do because in Manhattan there's tons to do, but I will say this, like when I lived there and you're there now, Kelly, like when it gets cold and Anthony's there, you know, when it gets bitter cold, it's like a ghost town. Yeah. And I can say that for a fact from living there, you know, for 7 years or whatever it was. I mean, I lived through a couple of the worst winters in the last 20 years, and when that happens, it's like
it's creepy.
Crickets, man.
Creepy.
I have pictures of me doing snow angels in the middle of Broadway.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm literally laying on my back, like Broadway and 14th, which if you don't know New York, that's like pretty close to freaking Grand Central, not the train station, but Union Station, the train station. But in terms of traffic and people, that's very, very busy. Like, and I was like doing snow angels in the middle of like Broadway and 14th. I'm like, what's up?
Remember Will Smith, where he's like the last man on the planet, and then like all the people that are infected.
Yeah. There was one night that got to -25, and Left Right was playing a show that I really wanted to go to, and I was just thinking, I'm gonna die if I go to that show. I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna choose to stay home instead. It was -25.
Yeah,
Wind chills.
I don't know if you've had this experience yet, real quick, but yeah, when I was in New York, the funny thing was like, you know, there's great transportation, public, you know, trains, all this stuff, but it was no really bad. The thing that was always on my mind, like a lot of people's minds, was like, oh, okay, I know the train will get me there and this and that, but what if something breaks or gets delayed, and then I'm hanging out in the cold?
Yeah,
that sucks,
I
dude.
could die out there.
That just sucks. Or being in a train station for an extra hour, you know, or closure or something. Have you had any of that, Kelly?
No, well, we have an above-ground train station, so just being on the platform itself is just really, it's super cold. It's like the wind goes right through you. So yeah, that's definitely a thing. So you could get there, but you really don't want to go out and have drinks and then come home and like end up, you know, a frozen snowman.
Yeah.
And it would be horrible.
Hey, Rob, have you ever been? Rob, you've been in New York?
Oh shit, hold on, wait.
See, I used to live in Toms River, New Jersey for a while. My family's up in Jersey, so I painted Seaside Heights. My uncle owned real estate, so I did a ton of Seaside Heights buildings, and before it was the Jersey Shore, so that's why I became a fan of that show, where a lot of people are like, how do you watch it? And I loved it. But yeah, I've been in New York a lot. My brother from another brother, Justin, and his wife, Alicia, they moved up there, and I visited them every single year. So, and I just haven't been back in a couple of years, but yeah, a lot of times.
Brian Malarkey. Brian Malarkey and Megan Scott. That's kind of growing up.
Oh, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's one thing I didn't like was the cold, though. I'm telling you, when it's cold there, I can't take it. I got to stay inside. I can't take that coldness. I'm happy to live in New York because of that. I couldn't. I freeze.
Hey, Hey Rob, what do you remember? What do you remember? Speaking of Brian, well, it's just not of Brian Moore, but it reminded me when you were here hanging out. What do you remember about being here in San Diego when you were here?
What do I remember? Ripping my sleeves off of a new shirt I bought because he was like, "You can't have sleeves," and I was like, "Okay, I can't have sleeves." So we ripped the sleeves off, and then we went out and we drank at some really divey bars in the daytime. That was like nighttime, and I remember some tacos, brew, and SeaWorld. And the fireworks. Those are the things that I do remember of Brian.
Wait, you can't hook a shrimp to SeaWorld?
Oh, well, where I was at, I saw SeaWorld and the fireworks. I had to watch them. You know, I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, because we have Tim come over here sitting in a tank still. So I was like, oh, yeah, there it is right there. That's our SeaWorld. So,
I thought Brian Millard took you to SeaWorld. I was like, wow.
He lives right down the road from SeaWorld, so, but what a good part of San Diego is so beautiful, and yeah, waking up and being able to hike, and they took me hiking after a long night. I almost died.
Yeah, you got to go to Sunset Cliffs. That's awesome.
Oh, it's so awesome, so beautiful. I honestly almost died. I couldn't do it. Him and Skandar are just like, no, you got this, but you need more comfortable shoes. I'm like, nah, I got the shoes. Don't worry about me. And yeah, that didn't work. I'll never do that again. But
yeah, dude, you get pretty sore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming back on that. Well, hey man, what while we're talking and going all over the place from our music business, how we know each other and whatnot, what are some things that if somebody's managed to stay with us until the end, it's looking for their key nuggets for the day. What are some things that you see with young or emerging artists, or some tips you would give and things that you see, good advice for people like that?
For new and up.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably similar across any genre, but just thoughts on that.
For new up and coming artists, these days I would just say, stay true to any type of route that you love, musically wise, like whatever you've grown up on. If you're old enough to grab a doll and become a producer, or you already know it, great. And put all your music out for free, and get them on as much, streaming platforms that you can, but still release it as free as much as possible. And be consistent about it. Don't give up. If you're gonna have crappy quality, you're gonna have crappy fans. So I mean, you got to keep that in consideration. And I would just say put it out there for free as much as possible. Get a big support team behind you, your friends, your family. Share your music with as much as you can, and just keep pushing away, keep plugging away. We've had stories. Arrow Card signed up when he was a kid. He's still a kid. With Colton, and Colton used to sit there with him.
What was that name?
His name Arrow Cord. Arrow Cord.
How do you spell that?
Huh? Arrow.
How do you
A-E-R-O. A-E-R-O. C-H-R-D. C-H-O-R-D. Arrow Cord.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's worked with. In the beginning, though, I just remember this kid always giving Colton demos over and over and again, and Colton would sit there. Colton's not even a producer, but he knows music, and he has a love for music, and he has a great ear. And he would sit there with this kid over and over. You should change it to this. You should change it to that. And he did that. He got signed. And he's worked with some pretty big acts, Monster Cat. And now he does his thing. He's on tour. Worked with Mad Decent, Diplo. He's ghost produced for some people that I've heard about. But
that's cool. I mean, I look at it as he's 150,000 whatever roughly followers on SoundCloud. So he's definitely up in the. He's definitely on his way.
Yeah, but I put him as an example because he was just a kid that just stayed true to what he was doing, and he used a lot of his influences of his music coming up, and he took advice from some people, and look where he is now. He's doing good for himself.
But what can you say? What can you say about? I think that's an interesting story. What can you say about sort of his whatever road to where he's at? Like from when you met him, and maybe what he had going on, and like what are some of the things that you saw him do that that landed him where he is?
He just didn't give up. He just
like specific.
Yeah.
If you have any specific items,
Well, he just didn't give up. He looked at some of his people he looked up to, that he was a fan of, and he took tips and advice, and he just kept plugging away. He wasn't going out drinking. He wasn't going out. He was obviously, doing it and partying, and he kept plugging away every day, making a track, making hundreds of tracks actually. There was probably, if I can get the number of demos that was turned down by Trap and Bass, it was a high number. But he just didn't give up, and I'm super proud of him and proud of Colton and where both of them came along of guiding each other. And super proud of him. For the younger kids out there that have goals and dreams, just keep pushing away. Don't listen to anyone negativity, and don't get caught up in the negativity cliques and the crowds, and just keep pushing away. There's tons of YouTube tutorials out there for something that you need. You don't have to ask everybody else, and it's a do-it-yourself process.
Yeah, it's interesting. I took a quick look at some of this guy's history. It's actually interesting. I came up with his name. He got it from a name generator online. How crazy is that?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah.
It's not a quote, so I'm not reading Wikipedia on this one, but Wikipedia, everything's good, right? So he said, if this is true, he says it took him 2 months of looking through name generators.
Hey man, it's a good name. It's a good name. It's catchy. Eric Gordon.
But think how crazy that is versus pre-internet. Like you don't do name generators. I don't have a problem with it, but I just think that's wild, man. Like you would just, it would be a nickname like your friends gave you, and quite often terrible ones.
Yeah.
That's his tools, using the tools that he had at his.
Yeah, I mean he's only 20. He's only 24 years old, so I mean he doesn't know. It's almost not. Yeah, it's like just what it's just what you do when you're 24. You don't even know any different, And he's from Greece, so he's cool, man.
Yeah, he moved out to LA.
It sounds like his first big thing was Monster Cat, which obviously they've got their whole story going on. But yeah, like you said, he's gotten in there, and then obviously that led to doing things closer like Snake, RL Grime, all those cats that are doing all kinds of wild stuff. Certainly in terms of size, if nothing else. So
I would think that not getting caught up in negativity is a huge thing, though, because there's a ton of people that are taken down by that, kind of get caught up in the negativity, and that would be the defining thing that makes you different between you and everyone else, is just the fact that you stay positive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not easy. Things aren't easy.
It's huge.
Things that are worth it don't come easy. So it's like,
yeah, none of it's easy, and I think one of the it's always been hard for me. It still is you see things that are opportunities that you'd love to have, and stopping yourself before you start to question all the reasons why you didn't get that opportunity. That's personally for me, like that's something that I've spent a lot of time just trying my best to stop it before you let either your friends that are maybe influences, get you amped up, or get your own mind amped up about all the reasons why, maybe somebody who maybe you see, at this close to your level, or maybe a little up, a little down, whatever, and you see them get some opportunity, and it can be as simple as like position on a flyer. You're on the same party, right? And you're like, what, huh? So like just not putting any of your, or trying as quickly as possible. I think it's human nature for that stuff to be like, oh, what? Like at least for a second, and then kind of, yeah, but you know what? It doesn't matter, because like think more about your own opportunities. Definitely more stuff comes your way when you spend as little time as possible, sort of coveting maybe what other opportunities people got that you even worked really hard to get and you didn't get it. It's funny, like for some reason, like in the music and art business, it seems like at least some people that I've come across, it almost seems like this world where people forget that the opportunities are just like opportunities in everything else. It's not really any different. I mean, the subject's different, but people go look for jobs all the time. Like even if you work in the insurance business or car sales or whatever, like throughout your career, you look for 20 jobs or something, right? And you don't get them all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you don't take it so personal. Usually, like okay, I mean, maybe if the economy's down, you're looking for a job for 2 years, and you've got all kinds of financial debt and stuff. That's a different story. But in the general course of someone's life, they get tired of whatever job they're in, maybe, or just start growing out of it, looking for a change. They go look, but they miss 10 of them, and they finally get or 9 and get to 10th. But you don't hear them go on and on and on and on and on about all the shit around why they didn't get the job, right?
Like just apply for the next job.
Yeah, it's just they declined me. They told me they didn't like my, whatever it is you can tell people nowadays is why they didn't get a job without violating some law, right? I don't know, but
I think that a lot of times that people just don't ask for an opportunity, and that's one of the things where jealousy comes into play. And I've been asked that, like, how did you get this, or how did you get this? And it's just a matter of asking for the opportunity most of the time.
Yeah.
Putting yourself out there.
Well, that's for sure. I mean, I when I was younger, I definitely had more. I mean, for me, I had more, I guess, self-doubt might be a category, where I would hesitate to ask somebody for something. But Rob, some of the points you mentioned, which I think are huge, is carrying yourself professionally, whatever. I mean, everybody goes out and parties, this and that, at whatever time is right. But I think that's a huge distinction between knowing when's the right time to, go get lit and when is not the right time to do that. Because you get one chance with a lot of these people, right?
Yeah.
So you get one chance to be in, where you end up in some place where whatever you end up waiting in the bathroom line with Skrillex.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like he's got to go to the bathroom too, right? You get that one time, you don't want, you want to, like. So I think trying to just remember that, you might need to carry yourself business-like.
Yeah, I think remembering that it's a business and that you have to work at it like a business, even though it's a passion too. And people have trouble kind of getting that balance, because it is a passion. But the people that are successful are the ones that have that kind of, the dedication and the, what's the word? Not willpower, but like what's the word for willpower? Something like that, like the restraint to actually focus on it. Something I do not have. Something I don't have.
This is the vocabulary section of the podcast, and we failed on that one.
Sorry, the discipline.
Discipline.
Yeah, it's actually treated like
structure.
A business. Yeah.
All those things that,
There's a local hip hop DJ, DJ Artistic, and he's been around for a really long time. He does turntablism and hip hop stuff, and he actually throws things. And he's been around for like 20 years in the city, and he had this whole post that he wrote, kind of just exactly about the topic we're speaking on, and it's kind of telling artists just like to stop all the griping and what the difference is between how he used to approach music and how he approaches it now, and how it's made a difference in his life, and it's just basically all along the same lines.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
and he's really successful as a local.
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, definitely. I mean, I get asked this question some, and Rob, and talking along the lines of what you were saying. I mean, not every day is perfect for me in sunshine. Like I think that maybe sometimes that's misunderstood, and I think that's probably the case with a lot of people that are, pretty positive. But I heard an interesting thing the other day, because there's one school of thought that if you don't let out your emotions and feelings in that sense, that you cause yourself other kinds of problems. So and that, there could be some truth to that. But I heard someone say something interesting the other day, which was along the lines of, it's just human nature that you're going to have doubt and these kinds of things that we're talking about. But the quicker you try to channel that into something positive, the more you do that, the more your personality becomes just positive. And then over time, those kinds of people tend to just find themselves far more naturally just being positive about everything. Mm-hmm. And so it might feel a little weird to somebody who's feeling depressed or doomed. I'm not a psychologist. God forbid, don't take the psychology section on this show. But these are all good points, I think, for especially younger people that which I mean certainly like you said, Rob, and for me that's where I had more of those kinds of sort of personality traits than I do now, for sure. And nowadays I just don't really like. I mean, I guess nowadays I don't take it so hard because I realize that if you keep trying, like you said, that sooner or later you'll either become uninterested in what you're doing, and then it doesn't matter. Well, that's a big fear, like a lot of people have a big fear of, I'm having a really tough time, but I really don't want to stop what I'm doing because I'm passionate about it. But what's interesting is I've been passionate about other things as well, and I kept trying, and they didn't work, and I just kind of got over it.
Yeah,
and then I just did something else.
Exactly.
And I didn't.
Yeah.
So that, but there was no fear or sense of loss of whatever it was I was so passionate about. I just grew out of it. Yeah. So big deal. It passed. And then it's not this big like looming thing. So I think for me, like realizing that, like along the lines of what you were saying about just keep trying, Rob, is it's a result of continuing to try and not give up. You'll either just get uninterested and then no longer care, or you'll find success.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
what
else is going on, man?
Like myself. Let me just give you an example. I've always wanted to be a turntablist, right? And I just will never be a turntable. So I realize it's never going to happen. So I'm just going to go fly kites now. And, it makes me happy. So it took me 33 years to figure that out, but I'm not mad at it. And I'll still get in there and scratch crappy, and people will like it. But it's just I figured it out after a while. It just wasn't for me. And I'll still throw down, DJ, and have a great time, and I'll continue to do that. I might switch my genres because there's probably going to be 1,000 more that will happen in my lifetime. But I like flying kites now.
From the time I've known you, Rob, this whole discussion is one of the interesting things about you is I've never heard you like blame. I don't think I've ever blamed anybody for something that didn't work out the way you wanted. But particularly, I've never heard you blame like an industry or a concept or a skill, like turntable in the world is bullshit. I can get anywhere, and then blame it on turntablism. It's not, the turntable world is not treating Rob the way you deserve.
It's the turntable's fault, Wes. It's the
you get what you deserve, man. What you get is what you deserve in life. It's just the way it may not taste good, but it's what you get. Right?
Yeah. You get what you put into everything.
Hey, dude. Well, what else? We're I'm not gonna say we're out of time, but we're jamming, man. This is definitely the longest show we've ever had.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah.
No, I told Rob and I talked for an hour already earlier.
There's so much echo going on right now.
Yeah,
hey, Rob, you want a fist bump?
I mute Rob.
No, this way. Look.
Okay, so let's talk about Bomb Beats. Let me tell you guys where we're bringing Bomb Beats. Let's talk about Bomb Beats. So, the record label that started it all, coming up soon. As soon as Michael, Gigabee, hurry up, damn it, with my logo that you did years ago. As soon as he wraps up my logo, because he's my robot guy, he's got a knife and a fork coming in the logo. We're turning it into what my hands say, which is Bomb Eats. So we're turning it into a music blog coming up, and what we're going to do is have a recipe that comes out every single Monday, because my girlfriend is an amazing chef. And we're going to put a recipe and track behind it every single Monday, and we're going to document our cooking. So we're going to take our label on the outside of, just trying to brand it a different light than just straight up break beats, because we are definitely classified as a breaks label, and take it to a new journey. So we are accepting demos, but it has to be just out of the box. We're going to go with
where do people send them, Rob?
Where do we send them?
Out of the pizza.
Where do they send them?
Oh, the demos?
Yeah.
Oh, contact@bombbeatsmusic.com. Send the demos there. Bomb Eats.
Bomb Eats. Bomb Eats.
It's Bomb Eats now, okay? Or it's Eats a Bomb.
Bomb Eats. I like that.
Yeah, but yeah, we're moving it to a music blog, food music blog, and just giving it something else to do. We have a lot of great places here in Winter Park. It's all local, and a lot of great restaurants, a lot of great places that we're just gonna go. We're not gonna get anyone bad reviews. If we don't review your food, then that obviously means that it just wasn't that great of a time, and we'll come back. But we're gonna give everyone some really great views, and hopefully after a while, everyone in the community will know us, since it's all friends, family, and locals around here. So that's where the label's going. It's the website. I've been saying coming soon for the last 4 years, and I promise you it's coming soon. Okay, so it'll be here soon.
You do the help of people like me, dude.
Yeah. And you should open up something with the food, Wes. What about that burger joint down the road? What's up with that burger joint, by the way?
You know what, man? One of the if you ask me what one of my top things is to tell anybody, new, young, whatever business they're in, about success or whatever you measure success as, I would say not getting distracted.
Yeah.
I have so many people, and I'm not talking about just music, but I have so many people, like interesting people in my life. Not people asking me for stuff. Just interesting people that I run across. It's so hard not to just be like, oh man, I didn't even know that existed. Like, I want to get into that now.
You're like, oh, over here.
Yeah, and one of the problems for me is that, as I've enjoyed, I don't know if it's success, but to me, enjoyment is success. Certainly a big part of it. So as I've enjoyed more and more things, over the years, it's like there's just more and more things you can spend your time on. And then you get this confidence that it's like, oh, I like that. If you go after it, I'll be able to do it, and I'll enjoy it, and that'll be fun, which is a success. And so, like, once you realize, well, I could probably go whichever direction I want. So anyway, that's why I'm not doing anything with a restaurant.
You should leave that up to him.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes I go around the wheel for like 10 minutes. Sometimes. I think this whole show is going around the wheel. We're going around the wheel in 2-hour chunks. I was going to ask you something though, dude. Well, thanks for the update on Bomb Eats and Bomb Eats.
Had to throw it in there. Had to plug it.
I wanted to go back to your point. I wanted to go back to your question. This is serious now. I wanted to go back to your question. You said something like you're expecting demos out of the box. I think that's what you said. Is that what you said?
Yeah, and demos out of the box. I'm looking for those new up and coming artists or artists that have no idea about how to get their music out there, and outside of the box, just all different types of genres. Just like
you meant kind of like think outside the box. I misunderstood the term you used.
Like not necessarily fitting in.
Yeah, I mean, if you play the trumpet, and let's just say that you play the trumpet and you made a beat behind it, and maybe you sung, and it's never going to do anything, but I like it. It's kind of thinking outside the box. So that's the stuff I want to put out.
Compare them with somebody else's.
Yeah, someone else might like it. Like DJ Craze. I can't remember I can't remember his one album, and he did the track. And he did the cut on it, the flick of the wrist turntablist. But that was thinking outside the box, how he put that on there. And A-Track did a song, I can't remember that either, the name of it, because I had to Shazam it, and I broke that phone years ago. But he scratched a harmonica, and the beat came on, and harmonica came on, then he started scratching a harmonica. That was thinking outside the box, It's just like, yeah, it's kind of...
Yeah, no, I'm fine with you on that. Now, one of my curiosities is, do you think that, like, my opinion on that kind of creativity is like, I think it's very hard, and I've seen very few examples where anybody like sat down and actually thought about anything that ended up being really cool.
Yeah.
Like like for the purpose of it being, interesting to others, right? I think like. It seems to me, like, and I'm asking, maybe you have an example where I'm completely talking out of my shoe, it seems to me like when you look at stuff historically, like some of the great examples you gave, you know, those guys were probably just doing whatever, you know, and being creative, and then people started to recognize whatever they were doing, and it gained fans and it became something cool, right?
Just kind of
Yeah.
like on it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what all this stuff is stumbling upon it. Like, I mean, you could get, I mean, if you go R&D lab kind of business, like a pharmaceutical manufacturer, that can be different. Okay, I'm scientific. I'm going to solve a problem, which is, you know, a particular kind of cancer, and we need better medication. That's a very different. That's not an art. I mean, there's art to science, but that's not an artistic problem like what we're talking about. So, like, I'm saying more like these art type things. You know, like, I think that's how somebody like, you know, Skrillex or, you know, any number of other guys that are before or just after him that also got a pretty good bit of fame, Flux Pavilion, whatever. Not to say they're all like each other, but, you know, just they've risen in a general time of bass-heavy stuff, right, music. So, you know, those guys are all musicians and all doing their thing, and it just happened that what they were doing, you know, caught on. You know, like I don't think Skrillex was playing in bands. They didn't sound like his electronic fame at all. So he wasn't sitting around thinking, "Damn, I'm gonna, you know, work out, you know, how to make this sound like that." It's more like I feel like he was just doing music and stuff, and well, it's a lot how the creative process happens when you're making music. I mean, you know, you don't usually have a lot of idea of what exactly you want something to sound like. Now you can go hear something and then go replicate that. That's more of an engineering problem versus, you know, sitting down. I've been messing with video stuff too. Rob, you done any video stuff?
A long time ago, and it's so funny that you mentioned that because I just re-downloaded a free trial of Final Cut again.
Ah.
I was trying to work with that. Eric and I was both trying to work with it, but man, I give up. I would just, you do it for me. I can't do the video stuff. I started giving up on it, but I have in the past. What are you working on video-wise?
I just, you know, like, I mean, obviously, you know, you and I have talked about how video is just as a form, not whether it's artistic or good or bad or indifferent, doesn't matter, but it clearly just as a medium has, you know, changed a lot in terms of its use. You know, it's always been there in MTV and that. I mean, you can call that video, but I'm talking about like kind of the prosumer created level video that goes viral or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't have any, I mean, I just want to have better skills in that arena. So I buried myself with Adobe Premiere the last week. And, you know, it doesn't surprise me how strikingly similar it actually is to like working in Ableton, which is, as you know, is my DAW of choice. Yeah, there's a lot of crossover. Anyway, yeah, you'll see my first project soon.
Yeah, once you let me proof that first, okay? Once you get the hang of it, it's very similar to making music. It really is. And I brought it back to Ableton when I was using Final Cut. It is. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty simple. Just finding the time for it. I do a lot of. I've been getting more involved into VJing, video mixing, and it just blows my mind the creativity that you can come up with. And I think it's called Bleeple, and that guy who runs those video edits, and you can get them off Serato. Those are awesome, you know. I think it's Bleeple. I want to say it's Bleeple. You can go to Serato.com and find their videos that they give away for free. I believe the name of it is Bleeple.
Yeah, that's a good point. I did a little bit of that when I was back in New York. You remember when Serato first had its video plugin? And that was pretty cool. That was really my only exposure to it. And I didn't really get into it. Wasn't passionate about it. But it's pretty interesting. I guess there are people that do that. What's that guy? There's a guy in San Francisco that does. Is it Il Gates? Does he do video and music together? I think he does. I think his shows are video and music, like all done by him.
Yeah, that's cool.
Not like VJing other people's material. I think he VJs it, but he makes it. So I think he's also performing both his music semi-live, as electronic music would be, and then the video. I think he's also doing that video mixing simultaneously. I don't know what gear or hardware he uses, but he's got some really cool stuff. I've seen, like I've watched some of his just his producer tutorials, and he talks about some of that stuff and uses it as reference points. But if you're not familiar with that guy, go check him out. Il Gates. It's a great name too.
Really well. It's like sold out. I can't think of it. I was taken by a friend. It's like a hip hop guy, and he does the same thing where he does like raps, but it's kind of like hip hop, glitch hop kind of stuff. It'll come to me. That's really amazing. You did have like the first part of everything. Yeah,
Well, Rob, if you don't want to get, I'll save you right now. If you don't really get trippy and bugged out on clicking switches and software, then going from audio DAW into video DAW may not be the, I guess it's a DVW at that point, I guess, but that may not be for you, bro.
No, I'm gonna wait for you to finesse it, become a pro.
I really got bugged out on it, man. Like I never really tried. I never really tried to study in a structured way, like take some courses and that. And man, I got completely zoned in, man. It's so interesting, like doing the music and then having all this visual stuff go with it. Like you want to get in there and like mess with everything.
Yeah.
And getting things to work on the music timing and all that, especially when, like in my case, I'm working with elements that, like the visual elements are not, I don't have the luxury of someone coming in and, a talented dancer or somebody, performing to the music. Like I don't have that luxury at this point. So I've got to take existing assets and then find ways to, with minimal effort but maximum creativity, like sync them up with the music so something's cool. I don't know, whatever. My first project's been fun. We'll see what the world thinks of it in a week or so.
Maximum impact. Little effort.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to bring some of my shit to life. It wasn't really about, viral videos are cool, but there's a lot of ways to do that.
What's I saw on online that you were building the helmet and the lights in it. Yeah. Can I get a little preview of that?
Yeah, it's yeah, you can. It's funny because the pictures, I purposely did them that way. Not that I care anybody knows, but just to kind of like take basic parts of them so people guess what they were. Pretty funny. I'll grab part of one. I'll show you real quick.
Come on, Kelly.
There you go. Now I feel left out.
This is the one. Excuse me real quick, Jen. Yeah. You can just kind of see this a little bit.
Look at that thing. That's awesome.
Yeah, so this is just the shell for this one.
Cool is that?
But can you see the jellyfish on the wall, Rob?
Yeah, I can see them.
Yeah. So that's bizarre. So this thing's gonna have about 2,500 LEDs in it.
Awesome.
And it's going to get its headphones like the one on the wall here and there you can see. Anyway, it's let me put it away and I'll tell you how this all came about real quick. Say something, Jen, Kelly.
It's like an ever-evolving project. It's going to be like artificial intelligence by the time it's done.
Is he always going to, it's going to start talking and walking.
It's like growing like...
I thought he was building it to wear. I thought the W was gonna start using that.
No, I got a you're gonna love this, dude. I can't give all the details on it, but I got an art grant building things.
Thanks to him.
No, I can't tell you the details about it. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so I got an art grant to build these things, which is pretty interesting, and you'll as with probably everything I do, you'll hear more about it. But anyway, they came about because they're off the artwork from my album last year. There's a couple jellyfish on there, and they're on the Tabletop Racing World Tour soundtrack artwork as well. And so they're kind of inspired by that, and then I just, it's all stuff done by me. I just got to thinking about ways to tinker and build something that would be super cool at night, or if I got the opportunity to take it to a place where I perform, things like that. So just, putting a little bit of a physical element, I guess. I mean, I'm pretty, but I'm not that pretty.
Yeah, great stuff, man. Hey, those chops on the side, though, they've come a long way. That's how I recognize you. And anytime I see anyone with those chops on the side, I'm like, is that W? Is he related to W? Is he?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely put the flex on sideburns. Huh? Like,
yeah, you have.
I got about as much mileage as you could get out of sideburns, I think.
You can never grow.
Dude, the first time I went to a winter music conference, the way that came about, my mom's a huge Elvis fan, and she was actually born and raised in the same place where he was from, so there's a lot of history there. But anyway, she's a huge Elvis fan, so I naturally grew up listening to some of that, so I was a fan. And when I went to my first music conference, I had this, I got all bugged out on Elvis like nostalgia. And I had this suit made, like there's people out there that make suits for Elvis impersonators. And so I had one made, and I ran around South Beach, Miami, in an Elvis costume promoting my stuff.
That's awesome, man. Oh, I wish I could have saw that.
So I wanted to grow out the sideburns, to be real, because I had a wig and all that jazz that you can get. And that's a whole industry, man. Like, have you ever had any insight into that whole Elvis impersonator industry?
I have not.
Come on.
So, I do know that they
have a short, definitive answer. I have not.
I've not. I know he stopped in Ocala where I used to live, or shot a video and used to live in Ocala. And as far as I go from that, Honeymoon in Vegas was one of my favorite movies. And that's about as far as I get with Elvis, buddy. So
I looked across the room here at this award that I got a while back, and it just reminded me. So what's your knowledge? What's up with Spain, man? What's going on over there? It's crazy. At least in the bass and break stuff. Like, what do you know about Spain?
Spain, the international music award, those Spain. Oh man, I don't know. I haven't been over there. I don't have we deal with a bunch of the artists that are getting signed to a lot of our labels.
Like who are some Spanish artists you can name, or guys from Spain that are happening? That's kind of the perspective I was asking from. I've done some work with a few of them, but I know there's a bunch. So like, what are you seeing on the distribution and business side?
I don't pay attention to it that much, I guess, because we have 85% of domestic, and it's not that we welcome them to work with everyone that we have over here, but we really don't have a lot of Spain labels for the artists. If the artists come over to a label, I see them, and that's about it, honestly, man. I have just so much music that comes through. I don't pay attention to it. Maybe I should, but in my spare time, if I'm not listening to our catalog with Jamvana, I'm just trying to create my own sound. It's not that I'm not a fan. I definitely am a fan. I can't really give you a number one. I don't know if all of them are producing or if one guy is producing for all of them.
I don't know, man. Disaster, the two tracks, the two Disaster beat tracks are put out in terms of breakbeat. They're like right down the pulling out of it for that genre, like traditional straight up high energy breakbeat.
Right.
I got a lot of good comments about him. He just came out today, so it's cool, man. He seems like a nice guy. I never met him in person, but I'm definitely getting hit up by people from there. I'm definitely getting hit up by people from Russia. A little bit of UK and around. but definitely a lot from, I would say, Russia and Spain. So it's just always interesting, like, I don't know, what other people see, because big world, man, you stumble into these pockets of things, and maybe other people have other pockets.
Yeah, we've had so much in the last, I would say, 2 years growth in hip hop. And we just, there's if it's not breaks, it's been a ton of hip hop, tracks that come in, and we deal with it a lot, and making sure that either the features that come on, because they're pretty big caliber artists, big acts, your Fetty Waps, Rick Ross, we have both of them. We have Fabulous. Kevin, and it just, the list goes on of features. So we get those, we have to monitor them compared to, some breaks guys that just throw sample packs together and they put a track out on Beatport, So I've been kind of,
This guy's stuck.
well, it won't be around much longer than putting those together, man. Because eventually everyone gets those sample packs and you hear that part of it. But yeah, other than that, man, again, it falls back on a bunch of our guys.
Well, things definitely tend to homogenize in anything, music or otherwise. That's one of those things where I think people, if they don't have experience outside of whatever it is they're complaining about, I think that they feel like it's somehow special to whatever it is they're involved in, and that's one of those examples. I hear people a lot say, oh, particularly because I'm in a lot of breakbeat and glitch hop stuff, everything sounds the same. Well, that's just a natural cause and effect of, of anything kind of getting some popularity and people hear it and then they want to be part of it, and so they learn from those people, and then it kind of starts to congeal, and eventually maybe it all sounds the same. Disco is no different, right? And then disco died, and then pieces of it live on forever. I really feel like that's kind of almost what breakbeat is. I don't, me, I don't look at it as a defining thing. I think it's an element. I'm not sure it should be a genre anywhere. I think it's an element that's clearly part of producing music.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, depending on the tempo you make it at, it falls into this beatport category called breaks, and sometimes it doesn't. And I think it's like had much bigger times where that category was looked at as a hot thing, kind of like a dubstep or whatever. And I think kind of like my disco example, it's clearly not ever regained that, nor has disco. Yet there's fantastic elements of it that go on and exist in all popular.
Yeah. If I do have to be, if there's one guy I am a fan of over there, and he stands out from a lot of them, and it's Colombo, and his sound just it stands out of a lot of breaks. And by the way, he killed me on Swag Out. Murdered me on your remix. And that's okay because what he is. But his sound definitely stands out. You can always tell the difference between him. Dom Stanton Warriors, the same thing. You'll always know who they are. And I respect them for that. And there's a lot of people that try to follow and mimic, and then that's when you get everything sounding the same.
Well, it's great. It's great quality as well.
Yeah.
There's songwriting and engineering, and I'm talking about this stuff this weekend. But there's the styling and the genres and the songwriting itself and the arranging and the mix down and mastering. All these things, but some people have some of those parts really good, and then they maybe don't have the others. But his whole package, for music is always high quality in all those areas, and so it's it makes a big difference, especially when you put it on a big sound system. That's an advantage that some people have too. Is like, personally for me, as I go from level to level, and you play on, from the DJ side, not the artist producer side, but you play your own material or others on bigger and bigger and higher quality sound systems. That's an exposure that you have no other way to get. You can't. I don't know any other way to get that than to get to play for 2 hours or an hour and a half, or listen 3 hours total and play for an hour on the biggest and best engineered sound system, that you've ever played on, every time you do that, you're going to learn something new about certainly your own music that you made, because I can guarantee you it's not going to sound near as good when, all your shit that sounds supreme on, the car stereo, you do the car test and the woofer test and the studio and the flat monitors and the no response monitors and the open back headphones, closed back, everything, right? You go through the whole thing, but man, I'll tell you, you can take all that stuff and have it dialed in, and then you go play on, like I said, 3 levels up in terms of the quality of sound system you're used to, and you're going to be like, man, I got work to do.
Yeah. All of my tracks are just way too high. Same thing, you play like a PK sound system and you have that extra oomph in it, like Wookiee. Like you put that track and you put yours, like mine, especially next to it. It's like, what the hell did I do? Why did I even put this out? You got to go back to the drawing board.
It's almost like I watch a lot of UFC fighting, a little bit of boxing, but a lot of UFC stuff, and it's almost like the way they talk about a lot of those fighters and the really elite guys. It's like it's kind of like that. Like a really great sound system. It exposes all the holes in what you thought was great.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's a work in progress, and you just get there. Sometimes I think it's best to maybe have a studio with the club sound system in it to go in there and put them side by side, or know somebody that you can go into the club and do the test. The car ride always works, but it definitely is not the same when you put it in the club. And then there's different sound systems they sound really good on. But I understand where you're coming from that point. And those guys definitely show their true talents and they stand out from the pack. And that's why they have a true fan base, a big organic fan base. That's why we all look up to them,
Yeah. I mean, it is. The budgets get bigger, but it's cool. It's a climb. It's all good. I just I try to look at it all and try to understand where I'm at and where I can go. And there's just always so much room. There's so much room to go, no matter where you are. I think that's the reality of it. So it's pretty cool, and whatnot. But so what else, dude? We are officially the longest variety show
ever.
If anyone's still listening or listens later, like we're getting some decent podcast traffic, like the replays, and they'll be like, they're gonna end almost. It's the longest one yet. Who is this Rob Analyze guy?
Diehard fans. 2 diehard fans that we have.
We're monitoring real-time stats, Rob. We went from like 7 people, we're now down to like 1/3. 1/3 of a person. Not 1/3 of 7. 1/3 of a person.
It's really captivating.
We do math on the variety show too, bro.
Oh man. It's okay. It's like The Wrong Turn 4. Have you ever watched that movie?
No. I haven't watched The Wrong Turn.
Well, then watch it when you get off. Watch it tonight. It's like that.
If you ever get off.
It's never ends.
Yeah. Well, that said, though, man, anything else you wanted to kind of throw out there that's interesting or whatever? Like, the reason we went over 2 hours is because you're an awesome dude, and I like talking with you. That's for sure. And we've got some history, so there's like a lot of round and round. Yeah, but yeah, dude, we'll definitely do it again. But this is also, maybe the 2 hours was also in part because it's the least organized I've ever been. Like I didn't, like you were gonna give like, did you give Kelly any like points? I don't think so. Anyway. I don't know. Maybe I didn't look at it. Like we always talk and try to.
Hey, I sent my points in. I sent my points in.
Kelly's like, no. She's like, no, I'm sitting on the captain's hat. Not my fault.
Like, I'm not running this shit, buddy.
All right, Rob. Any parting thoughts from you? Any parting thoughts, advice? Anything?
Besides staying classy, and I love everybody, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on a personal level here soon. I I'm just ready to go fly some kites, man.
Oh, dude, you know what? Wait a minute. Now that you said that, hold on. I'll be right back. We can't end yet.
Let's go fly a kite and keep it soaring. You ever hear that song? No? That's fine. The kite song? No? Never?
No, I need to know it. I need to know it. I'll remix it.
Kite up to the something. Let's go fly a kite and keep it soaring. That's I'm sure I'll get flagged by YouTube for that one.
Rob, this is the kite you need, bro.
All right, so come on now. That is awesome, but I don't know if I can put that in the air, man. I'm having a hard time putting the one I have in the air.
Well,
Let's pull from the bottom.
Well, this was something I found when I was trying to get inspired on, different looks for jellyfish and stuff, right? So, what I learned about kites in this process was that this is a line kite. Do you have any idea what a line kite is?
A line kite?
Yes.
Is this the line?
No.
No?
It has a line.
So, hey, I just learned this in the last couple of months. So, you fly a regular kite that catches the air and goes high and pulls on the string, and then the line kite rides on that line.
Oh.
So this kite doesn't fly by itself. And I learned this because when I got it, I was trying to fly it, and it doesn't fly for crap.
You're like, what the hell? I can't even fly a kite.
Yeah. So, but it flies beautifully if you have like a parafoil kite or more traditional parachute style looking kite that really catches air and goes up. And then this thing will, pull the line out and it'll blow horizontal and they look super cool. But yeah.
Okay, so we need to fly them together. We'll fly them together.
Kite knowledge, dude.
Kite knowledge. I need it. I need all the kite knowledge I can get. I'm about to get an app for it. I need to know the wind's blowing. I'm bringing it to Vegas.
We're doing it. Hey, that's what we're doing, man. And we're gonna do some cool stuff in Vegas. We gotta get the business out of the way and go visit Hoover Dam or something.
Hoover Dam. I missed it. I missed it last time I was there. I was on a table. But
yeah, I've been. It's awesome. It's really cool to see there's breweries and stuff. We gotta do some more of that stuff instead of just the strip stuff. We'll have plenty of time. That'll be cool. But awesome, man. All right, I gotta wrap this up or my dogs are gonna disown me. That's what's really gonna happen here. So. I've never run out of time, but today we've run out of time. All right, dude. Rob, thank you very much. Kelly, thank you very much for being bossum, and Jen for running things. And on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, stay classy, yo.
Yeah, you stay classy.